having some technical issues, but we're all set. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, take it away.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Barbara. Welcome to EarthEcho Snacks Upside Science. We're here to talk about microbeads today. Now, there's a lot of people online right now, and we may have some technical problems, but please bear with us. Okay, one of the biggest issues with microbeads is their size. They're from less than 1 millimetre to 5 millimetre, which is pretty small. And they're almost impossible to capture in our drains and through our sewage systems. These small solid balls of plastic enter our aquatic ecosystems where they are ingested by organisms and accumulated in the food web. Microbeads are added to personal hygiene products like face washes, body scrubs, soaps, toothpastes. The main types of microbeads are plastic components, which is polyethylene, polypropylene, polyethylene tetraphthalate, and nylon. Companies use the microbeads because it's cheaper than the natural alternatives like apricot kernels or jojoba beads or pumice, and that's why they use them. So the majority of these products are designed to be rinsed off, and they go down the drain, which is bad. It ends up in the waterways, ends up in the oceans, the rivers, and our bays, and that's what we want to prevent. So new products are being engineered all the time, and these is like a guppy bag, or this catches microfibers and plastics in it from our washing machine before they enter the waterways. But there's a long way to go. So until they're completely banned, some countries have banned them, but we can still find them in our products, especially in some countries, and some people still have old products in their homes. But thankfully they've been banned by countries, and hopefully they'll be phased out before much longer. Okay, let's get started with protecting our drains. Okay, this is what you need to do this activity today. So, all right, so we've got some stockings or pantyhose or tights, as some people call them. We've got our guppy bag, which is very fine mesh nylon to filter out microfibers. You could use a sock. We've got some rubber bands or elastic bands, depending where you come from. And we've got some coffee filters, some scissors, and we have some funnels and some glass jars and a spoon. So that's the equipment that we need. And I've also got some water on standby to do our experiment. So first of all, I'm going to put some of our product into a jar. And I've got some water on standby. You can use cold water, but hot water speeds up dissolving the soap component away from the microbead, makes it easier for filtering. Okay, so our first funnel, we're going to use a bit of the pantyhose or stocking. Put it over the top of our funnel, securing it with some elastic or rubber bands. Put that in over one jar. Now, our coffee filters, there's two ways you can do this. You can just fold it in half. This is like fold it in half again, and then another time, and you end up with this little packet. Then you can just cut around that you then have, open it out, and you've got two halves of your paper. Or you could actually, if you want to be a perfectionist, draw a circle and cut out your circle. Rightio, a little rubbish. So the next funnel is going to have our coffee filter in it. Here's my original. And you can fold that in half, fold it in half again, and then when you open it out, you've got 3 bits on one side and then 1 bit on the other. So that's our second choice. And then we've got our guppy bag or our lingerie bag that we use to wash our clothing in. Now, we don't have to cut that up, so I'm sure your mums will be pretty happy about that. We can just secure that with elastic band again. Put it over our jar. Now we've got our three jars. Now, what we're going to do is pour some of our solution that's containing our microbeads over the top of our stocking, our guppy bag, and our filter paper. Just finish that off. There we are. So we poured the contents there. Now I'm going to show you what this all looks like now. So this is our filter paper, and you can see 2 types of microbeads there. You've got the blue ones and the white ones, and then we'll move over onto our stocking. So you can see the different sizes there. You can see some really tiny ones, and the big blue ones are a lot bigger. So we've got 2 different types of plastic there. And I'm not sure, and I think it's because that makes the product more attractive to the users. And then here is our guppy bag. So you can see that the tiny little white ones have gone through the guppy bag. There's a lot left. There's only the bigger blue ones and a few of the white ones left behind. Back to that one. You can see that stocking has collected a lot, and now we're going into our filter paper here, and you can see the white ones left around the side. Okay, all right. So you can see very easily how these microbeads are a serious problem. Okay.
Barbara, we have a question coming in from YouTube, and that is, if the purpose of the microbead would be for exfoliation, why would a company think that people want to scrub their face and body with plastics? And also Vivi Rose says hi.
Hi, Vivi Rose. Good to see we've got our groupie follower. Yeah, because it's said the plastic, it just helps get with the soap and rough off the dead skin cells, which makes your skin all fresh. And why they want to use plastic, people don't realise that we're using plastic in lots of our products. So that's they just don't know. They don't know. They don't think. They haven't really looked at the product list, which is a really important thing to do. Is when you buy a cosmetic product, is to actually look at one thing, where it's made, and another thing, actually look at the contents and see what it's composed of. And some people will be horrified to find out how many fillers and are contained in the products. Okay, so the problem, microplastics, why are they such a problem when they enter our waterways? It's because they end up in the food chain. They're hydrophobic, which means they absorb things like fire retardants, oils, other chemicals like PCBs, which were banned in Australia many years ago. And fire retardants are actually a big problem because they're on roads, they get sprayed around fires, obviously to protect the community, and then they get washed down in through the drains and end up in the rivers and the oceans. And then these chemicals collect onto the microbeads. Okay, so what happens is over time is the microbeads are in the ocean and they float around the ocean, and algae actually attaches to the microbeads as well. And the algae makes the microplastics and the microbeads more attractive to fish. So the little fish come along and they eat the microbeads because they're coated in algae. Zooplankton also eat algae. So zooplankton actually eat the microbeads, and they are then eaten by fish, and bigger fish come along and eat our zooplankton. So what happens is we get a bioaccumulation of these plastic in our fish, and as they go through the food chain, starting with the zooplankton through to little fish, bigger fish, and then humans eating them, and also whales end up eating our microplastics by just through when they filter their food, their krill out of the ocean, they absorb lots of these microplastics as well. So with this bioaccumulation in the human body, we get health effects. So we get toxin overload, and they can affect our hormones, our endocrine system, and our immune system. It prevents our body from acting the right way. And they're also been implicated in cancer, all sorts of plastics. So, you know, we want to really avoid using our microplastics in any form. Now, okay, and it's also been said that something like a third of fish around in the UK and Australia and America so far contain microplastics, and they think that by the year 2050 there'll be more plastic in the sea than fish, which is a really scary statistic. Are there any questions happening down there on YouTube? Any visitors?
Yes, we have some viewers saying that they love your paintings behind you and your dolphins. And then we had a question from YouTube, and that is, do you know, if you don't, that's okay, I do, when microbeads became illegal in the States? And I'm not sure if everybody heard, Barbara, that you're coming to us live from Australia. And we had a question if the microbeads were banned in Australia.
It was actually a voluntary ban in Australia, unfortunately, which is why when I did this activity and discovered quite a few microbeads and a lot of plastic, and actually researched it when you guys came to Melbourne in 2018, we had assumed that microbeads were actually banned in plastic, but we found it was a voluntary recall. And I think it was 2015 in the States, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, very good. So the states started to ban them in 2015, and then they wanted to have it all phased out by 2017. And then other countries that have also banned microbeads from rinse-off cosmetics like facial wash, body wash, like the product you're using today, include Canada, France, New Zealand, Sweden, Taiwan, and the United Kingdom.
Yep. So a lot of countries are right onto it. And I don't. You guys probably have the dollar shop, or we have the $2 shop here in Australia, where some of those cheaper products, unfortunately, have microplastics in them that have come in. They don't get the scrutiny that the other more expensive products get either. So that's another source of microbeads, unfortunately.
And Barbara, can you remind everybody what are those things to look at on the labels to see if the products have plastic microbeads in them?
Can. Okay, so those things are called polyethylene, or it's got a PE, or polypropylene, which is PP, or polyethylene tetraphthalate, which is PET, PET plastic, and some of you would know that's what your cool drink bottles are made out of. So tiny, tiny little bits of your cool drink bottle are rolled into these microbeads that they put in your cosmetics so that you can scrub your face. to get a clear. Whereas you could just as well use oatmeal and make your own. And you could probably even use a bit of sand, because it's probably not much difference between grains of sand and grains of plastic. But yeah, oatmeal is always a good natural product to use.
Yes, and Yasmin on YouTube said that that coffee grounds can also be a good alternative, and that you could reuse some that you have from home, which is really great. And Vivi wants to know, what is a voluntary ban?
Voluntary ban means that the people that are producing the cosmetics, because of cost and people having to change their equipment and their machinery, the government said to these people that manufacture these products that we would really like you to stop using microbeads, but I know it's really hard and it's really expensive. So, you know, if it's too expensive or too difficult for you, you don't use anal beads. You don't need to do that.
Yes, and I was wondering, could you show us with the dot camera, could you show us the 3 setups that you did again so we can see those up close, please?
Sure.
And while you're showing us those, Barbara, can you talk through how you did this setup one more time, please?
Okay, so what I did was I got different materials to test for my microbeads. So I've got a guppy bag here, or a which is a bag that you can put your clothes in to put in the washing machine to stop the microfibers going down the washing machine out into the waterways. I have my stocking or my pantyhose here that I've used, and I've got a coffee filter. So I've got 3 different samples, and I've got my jars or glasses, and I've got a funnel. And I've got elastic bands here, and I've got my cosmetic, which I've covered up, obviously, and my coffee filters. So, and I've also got a sock here, which I thought that we could test as well another time. So you can find different materials around the house that you could test with. Okay. Yep.
That's perfect. So there's 3 different ways to filter out the plastics that we use today. Do you know, are there loopholes for companies to still allow microbeads in their products?
Well, as I said, you know, in Australia, well, yes, because sometimes they call them other names, and they might have, you know, list all the other products and still slip the plastics in there to bulk out some of their other products. So if you're using, so they've got oatmeal, they might add some plastic as well, but if oatmeal's the highest, there's more of the oatmeal than the microplastics, then that'll be listed first, and then you've got a lot of ingredients to work through to discern what you've actually got there. And they're very sneaky with some of the names that they use, obviously, and if they're using chemical names, everybody doesn't necessarily know what those chemical names are.
Exactly, they can be really sneaky. And there is out there for everybody watching an app called Beat the Microbead that has this information on it. And I believe you can also scan products and check them that way, which is really great. Barbara, do you want to share a little bit about how you did this with your students? And I know you took it a little bit further, and I'll pull up those pictures while you're talking about that.
Okay, yeah, sure. I found this a really fun activity. I took it to school. I teach year 7s to 9s, which are 12 to 15-year-olds. There's some facts up there about plastic. So we tested 3 different products, and the students chose the different materials. They brought some from home, and we had some at school. And you can see the different products that we tested, and then we looked at them under the microscope, which was a bit of a really mind-blowing for everybody, actually. And you can see that some of those microbeads are beautiful and smooth, and some very rough around the edges. So different types of plastic within there. So some are solid and opaque and some are translucent. And one of the activities after we explored the microbeads and looked at the effects of plastic on the body, and especially the endocrine system, because we talked about hormones with our teenagers, the kids did this little activity, which was designing a T-shirt to convey a message about the microbeads. The idea came from another T-shirt where we saw that it had facts on the T-shirt. So if you're standing behind somebody in McDonald's or waiting in a queue, and you've got somebody's interesting T-shirt to look at, you might actually learn something. And you know how it is when you're doing good advertising, a good T-shirt gives you a lot of information just while you're standing around. You're a moving billboard.
I love that. And I love that it allows creative students and artistic students to, have a really big hand in the project as well. So Barbara, you mentioned the guppy bag and you used that as one of your filtering for the microbeads. Yasmin wants to know, should she be washing her clothes in one of those with the laundry when she does laundry? And what type of clothes should she be worrying about? Is there, a different material that's worse than others when we're talking about washing and washing away plastics?
Oh, that's a really good question. Those, a lot of your nylon material, which are your synthetics and your really light material that people wear, because nylon and plastic in your clothing is light, it's durable, and it dries quickly. And these type of materials, they shed microfibers. So it would be good to put any of your non-cotton clothing into these type of bags. Sometimes it actually takes a little bit longer to go through the cycle. But the other way you can avoid some of your microplastics going down the drain is actually to divert your water from your washing machine just onto the garden. That will save some of the microplastics ending up. If you can't wash your clothing in a guppy bag, you could divert your water out onto your garden, which will save those plastics ending up down the drain. But it's a bit of a worry that so much plastic is ending up in the waterway, and I don't really know what the long-term solution is, except for going back to natural materials.
I think so. I think that is the main answer, right? And the last question that we're going to take today is, Jenna, Barbara, she said that you said earlier, we should pay attention to where our products are made. Can you expand a little bit on that?
Yes, I can. Sometimes products, you've got different products, you've got an expensive product and then you've got a much cheaper product. And if it's come from a country where the labour is a lot cheaper than either America or Australia, then the overall cost of your product is going to be cheaper. So people go along, and if they've got a low budget and they're not scientifically literate and they don't read labels, they're going to go to the dollar shop or somewhere else and choose a cheap body scrub that is definitely going to be containing plastic over a more expensive American brand or an Australian brand of cosmetic that might be 3 or 4 or even 10 times more expensive than the cheap one with the plastic in it. So I always try and buy Australian made, and obviously you guys are in America, so try to buy your own cosmetics, and said if you can make them, you can make some of your own cosmetics, or go to places like, do you have Lush in America, which a natural cosmetic company that we have here in Australia and England. So yeah, try and make your own, or really read those labels and be prepared to pay a little bit more for good quality product that doesn't contain microbeads. That's
great advice, Barbara. And I think something also to share is, as you're looking at your products, don't feel overwhelmed if you find, and don't beat yourself up if you do find something that has the microbeads in it, because it's about awareness, right? And it's also about changing out our products over time. So if you run out of a facial wash, and if your last one had it, just be mindful and aware of that, and don't buy that brand again. Maybe tell your friends, right?
That's right, exactly. We can't change everything at once. And if you substitute over time and make little changes, then yes, educate your friends and make people aware, because people just don't think half the time about the impact of certain products. So yeah, we do the best we can. So we can learn a lot about the ocean. No, so coming up next week, we have got on May the 6th, and then May the 8th, we've got Rocking with Fossils, and we've got Inky Itchy Ecology. The 13th, Bundled Up with Blubber. The 15th, Going Green and Keeping Green. That's another Australian coming for a, coming to talk to you about that. May 20, Coral Creations, and Diving into Ocean Zones, Build a Biome, and Fantastic Filtration. So a whole heap of activities coming your way still. And thank you for coming. Now you can check out EarthEcho's Facebook page, their Instagram page, YouTube channel, web page, and you can log on. You can learn a lot more about ocean plastic at on their expedition, the Plastic Seas, and you can do a STEM activity to design a device to stop these microbeads going down the drains. So thank you so much for stopping by for Snack Size Science, and I hope you had fun and learned something, and bye for now. Thank you so much.